Let me tell you something that most millionaires will never admit publicly. Making money is easy, but keeping your mind together after making it, that's the real game. And this isn't about losing it all financially. I am talking about something deeper, something darker. A trap that so many people fall into once they cross that magic threshold. I am talking about the emotional collapse, the internal emptiness, the identity crisis that hits you when the dopamine runs dry. You get the cars, the house, the girls, the lifestyle, and then you sit there in silence and wonder why you still feel so fucking lost. In this video, I'm going to break down the trap most millionaires fall into, because I lived it, I built it, and I had to destroy it just to find my clarity again. I will show you the 4 hard truths that most wealthy people never possess. And if you pay attention to this, you might just escape before it's too late. Part 1. Accept the hollowness. The first thing you need to do, accept the hollowness. Don't fight it, don't medicate it, don't cover it with distractions. You see, everyone expects success to feel like fireworks. But it doesn't. It feels like silence. When you've been grinding for years, chasing that next win, and you finally get it, there is no celebration. Just space, just stillness. And for most people, that stillness feels terrifying, because for the first time ever, there is nothing left to chase. You look around at everything you thought you wanted, and realize none of it is feeding your soul. You feel like a fraud. You feel like you lost your edge. You question everything. But here's the truth. That hollow feeling, that's normal. It's not weakness. It is clarity trying to get in. Most people try to outrun it. They party harder, travel more, date more, spend more. But the more you resist it, the more it owns you. You have to sit with it. You have to feel it fully. And then you have to ask yourself the real question. Now that I won the game, what game do I want to play next? Part 2. Luxury doesn't mean happiness unless you use it. Let's talk about luxury. Everyone thinks the mansion, the car, the views, the jets, they are the dream. And for a while, they are. They do feel amazing. But here's the secret. They only bring joy if you actually use them. The first thing I felt after moving into a $10 million mansion was how boring and lonely it was. I remember walking around the giant property wondering, why am I not happy? This was supposed to be the thing that made it all feel worth it. But instead, I just felt nothing. If you buy a supercar just to leave it in a garage, it becomes a decoration, not an experience. If you live in a 10-bedroom mansion but never invite people over, it becomes a hotel you walk through, not a home. Luxury is meant to be lived. If it is not being lived in, it becomes dead weight. So don't fall into that trap. Buy the car you love to drive, build the house you love to be in, keep it small, if that's what fuels you. Luxury is a tool, not a trophy. Use it with intention, or it will rot you from the inside. Part 3. Hedonism will eat you alive. And that brings us to the next chapter, because when luxury doesn't fill the void, you go looking for something that will. And that's when most people turn to hedonism. Even if you use luxury at full throttle, your hedonism will kill you. This one doesn't hit all at once. It sneaks up on you. It starts with one dopamine hit, and then another, and suddenly you don't feel alive unless you're high. Not just drugs, but high on attention, high on stimulation, high on novelty. And when that becomes your baseline, you are screwed. Because nothing else is enough. You stop enjoying simple things. You stop caring about deep work. You stop chasing meaning and you start chasing relief. At one point, I was living with 20 girls. On paper, that sounds like every guy's fantasy. And at first, it was fun. But eventually, it became chaos. Drama, noise, constant distraction. It made me feel like I was in control of everything. Until I realized I couldn't control myself. At the peak of my success, I couldn't go a day without stimulation. Girls, parties, food, travel, more and more. Until I hit a point where even that didn't work, and that's when it gets dark. Because when you're surrounded by everything you thought you wanted, and none of it still makes you feel anything, that's when you know you are in hell. Most people never get out, because they're afraid to go back to silence. But silence is the only way out. That's why I moved to Bali. That's why I cut the noise. That's why I went back to monk mode. Because the only way to feel again is to strip everything away. If you don't, you will spend your life chasing a high that gets smaller every year. Part 4. The only way out is to keep working. This is the part nobody wants to hear. The only way out of the millionaire trap is to keep working. Not grinding for the next Lambo, not chasing the next flex, but building something that excites your soul. Most people stop too early. They get the money, the followers, the status, and they slow down. But the speed is the only thing that saves you. Momentum is what keeps your mind sharp, your focus clear, your energy alive. You don't need to work to prove yourself anymore. But now, you work because it's who you are. You pick a new mission, you make it real, and you pour your fire into it. That's the only way to stay sane. That's the only way to stay alive. You can play, you can relax, but never stop working on your dreams. Because when you stop working, you start dying, no matter how rich you are. Think of it like riding a bike. You have to keep moving to stay balanced. Sure, you can slow down, coast a little, but the moment you come to a full stop just to admire the view, you lose momentum. And no matter how good your posture is, you will tip over. Maybe not instantly, but you will crash fast. I made millions before I turned 20. I lived the dream before most people ever get the chance to chase it. And I can tell you this, none of it will save you. Unless you have purpose, unless you build with intention, unless you're brutally honest about what actually makes you feel alive. So yeah, get the money, but don't fall into that trap. Accept the hollowness. Use luxury with intention. Reject hedonism and keep working. That's how you escape. That's how you stay dangerous. That's how you make future you proud. Let's go.